In this case scenario, what we're going to be looking at is a retiree that had $2 million in their account over a 20-year period of time from 2000 to 2019, investing in the S&P 500, drawing out 4% per year, which was a total of $80,000. What we're going to see is a negative 10% compounded with the retiree having to take out $80,000 for their gas, groceries, and living expenses, which left the retiree at $1.6 million. And over the next 2 years, that same retiree having less than half of their retirement depleted. Now let's see what would happen if we took cash, money market fund, or municipal bond, something conservative, and instead of putting all $2 million into a variable account, we put $1.5 million into that same variable account, and then we put $500,000 into cash, money market fund, or a municipal bond. Let's say that municipal bond was giving a rate of return of 4%, and still we have that annual withdrawal of $80,000. Let's see what basically happens as we set those two buckets system next to a one bucket system. So you still have the negatives, but instead of taking money out of the variable account when there was a down market and compounding that negative effect, you actually take that out of your true liquidity bucket on those years that were negative. And you can see at the very end, the true liquidity bucket, the two bucket system actually has a difference of $685,000. And this is what it basically looks like at the end of those 2 years. You have a negative 416 in this particular account, and the other one has a positive $268,000. Now, let's imagine that for just a second that's not all there is to this scenario. Let's imagine that this person had a life event fund, or life event where they had a terminal illness, or they had to go into a nursing home, something of that nature, and it cost, let's say, $60,000 a year. Started in, let's say year 9 and lasted 5 years before it resolved itself. What would that do to these scenarios? Well, let's see. Now, as we look, we're going to see in both case scenarios, it was a really bad situation. A negative 159 in the dual bucket system, and even worse, a negative $1 million in the other buckets scenario. And so that $60,000 over a 5-year period of time was really, really damaging to the finances. But there's going to be a different type of a fund that is whole life insurance policy. And let's say instead of that 1.5 million, we had $500,000 in this liquidity bucket, which gave a death benefit of $600,000. Let's see, and with that $600,000, a couple things could happen. We could actually put that $600,000 at the end of that person's life and have a legacy fund for their children or grandchildren, or in the case of a terminal illness or going into an assisted living center, part of that death benefit can be accelerated to pay for that $60,000. But let's see what basically happens in this case scenario if we're able to do that with a life insurance policy. So instead of having this negative $1 million for the retiree, we actually have a positive $568,000. So you can see a difference of $1.6 million just by having in place the possibility of a life insurance policy if the insured or if the client was able to qualify for that.